Hello, good morning. Hello, everyone, or good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. So welcome to today's discussion on strengthening U.S. and Bosnia business relations. My name is Vildana BiH, and I am the Vice President of the Working Group for Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is a 501c4 organization based in the U.S. We are a volunteer-led, non-governmental, and non-political and non-religious organization committed to peace, justice, and transatlantic cooperation. Why this conversation matters today? It comes at a very pivotal time. As of January 2025, the United States has transitioned into a new administration under President Donald J. Trump, ushering in potential shifts in foreign policy, trade, and also investment priorities. Meanwhile, Bosnia and Herzegovina continues its efforts to strengthen its economic position, drawing increasing interest from US investor and business leaders, many of whom see Bosnia as an emerging market with untapped potential. So to unpack these dynamics, I am honored to be joined today by Nedim Hamzic. Nedim is Executive Director of AmCham BiH, American Chamber of Commerce in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is an accredited member of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C., established in 2001 to advance U.S.-Bosnia business relations. Through its advocacy, AmCham strategic networking and investment facilitation, AmCham plays a key role in shaping Bosnia's business climate to align with global standards and best practices. So Nedim, before we dive into our discussion, can you please briefly share your background and what led you to take this role at AmCham Bosnia and Herzegovina? And welcome to our Sunday's panel.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much, Vildana, for the introduction. Greetings from my side to the whole group. I'm very well introduced with the work that you've been doing previously, either from Vildana or some of the people from this group, as I got acquainted with some people that help the American Chamber of Commerce with its different endeavors in the United States. And I must say, congratulations for the amazing work that you've been doing throughout your existence. And comparing to the American Chamber of Commerce, I see many fields of cooperation. I see many alignment in the issues that we all face and the way forward. Me getting involved with the American Chamber of Commerce in my career was a logical move. I've graduated from the University of Indianapolis. I've lived in the United States for some time. I've lived in Greece, which was at that time, even when I was graduating, part of the European Union. So many alignment issues, even with the diaspora at that time, and worked for the University of Indianapolis in student engagement from the United States towards the European Union. So in a sense, when I finished my MBA, I decided to return to Bosnia and Herzegovina, which was a tough move at that time, but definitely don't regret it. So even looking at my career backwards and, historically a little bit, I've always wanted to contribute to my country in that sense, in the sense that we try to bring American potential, even at that time, American students to the country in order to faster have a better transition of knowledge, more skills in this country. And so I took a job at the lottery, working with American companies, standardization procedures, and I saw fit at that time, 4.5 years ago, that there's huge potential with cooperation with the United States, and the American Chamber in this country was not very well positioned. I would say like that. We had about 45 to 50 members at that time. Now, rewind 4 years after that, we're 165 companies. I was just the only employee at that time. Now we're a team of 5. We have 6 committees running in different fields, from IT, intellectual property, cybersecurity, healthcare, tax, legal, banking, and finance, and 6 to and up to 10 working groups on different laws that need to be shaped in the country. And I'm actually loving the job, and I see a direct contribution to what we do in the country. It's a slow progress, obviously, we all know that, but I feel that we can do all together a much better job for this country and for the United States.
Excellent. Thank you, Nedim. That is a very, I would say, fast growth from 2020. You said only 40 members of the AmCham, and now you have over 140 members.
165 to be precise.
160. So that's quite a jump. So thanks to your leadership. So let's talk about the American Chamber role in the Bosnia's economy. And for American investors looking at Bosnia, the Chamber acts as a key facilitator, helping them navigate the regulatory landscape, connect with local businesses, and also connect Bosnian businesses with America and understand the market potential. Can you give us an overview of AmCham's mission and how it aligns with this role? And what are American Chamber of Commerce initiatives in Bosnia and Herzegovina concerning the change of law regulation, new leadership, and initiatives?
Just like you said, Vildana, like we try to act, and we do act as a bridge between those two transatlantic, build up the transatlantic relationship between the United States and Bosnia and Herzegovina, existing already 24 years in full. And what the Chamber's mission and vision is to be not only the voice of the finest business in this country, either it's American, domestic, international, but to always have in mind the connection between the United States, technology, goods, advertising, everything that can be implemented in this country through the business ethics of the American transparency in business and so on. So not only do we act as a bridge between those investors, we do have in our membership about 65 to 70 US companies. So out of that, 50% are US companies, representative offices, or companies that about 40 of them have direct relations, which are not American companies, but have direct relationships with the United States, either through importing goods, exporting goods, or using American technology in their day-to-day businesses. When you think about what you asked is, how do we see that relationship with some of the initiatives we do? We have to align a lot of those with the European Union, with the laws of the European Union, 14 priorities of joining the EU. We have to align those with the ethical standards that US businesses do in their country and how to implement that here. Many of the businesses here have these, books in their offices and, are totally regulated in that sense because they do know what it means to operate with the American market. That is some of the things we're trying to foster and push through other companies that want to open that challenge and want to work in that scope. So talking about initiative-wise, there's so many initiatives on these fields that I mentioned in the committees that we work for. We were having one of the biggest healthcare conferences. One of the speakers in the healthcare conferences were people earlier from the FDA. We're always trying to bring the American concept to the businesses here and vice versa. No matter what we do, we're trying to get always international speakers for the cybersecurity conference, which is also one of the biggest in the country, with sponsoring companies that are American companies, and don't want to do any advertising for them now. But those are some of the key facts that how we operate day to day. Even when we do the roundtables, even in the country or in DC, and we had ASEM participate in one of those earlier, we try to align always those key factors and how to bring people together. I think that's something we're going to be doing in the next 3 to 4 years, and I can talk in more detail about that during our call.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nedim. So Bosnia has been working to attract foreign investment for many years, and I wanted to know from your experience, what are some challenges or opportunities for companies who are looking to do business in Bosnia? I know that we have an organization which is called Foreign Investment Association, FII, and can you highlight, some stories where AmCham played a role to bring U.S. investors or companies, or a success story?
First of all, I think we all need to do a much better job in this country to attract any foreign investment. Like traveling the United States, and and in enacting and talking with our diaspora, but not only diaspora, with American businesses, we are not always the first choice. I don't know what choice we are, and we have to fight to get on that ladder higher. Bosnia, when you think about it in investment wise as a pyramid, we're thinking about, let's get investments, but where's the other things on the pyramid? Where's ethical business? Bosnia is second corrupted country in Europe, after Belarus. The inactive political leadership,
rule of law. No rule of
rule
law.
of law always, judicial system which is not even processing the business court decisions. We might have agencies on state level, entity level also, that do work concerning attracting investments. But like I said, attracting investments is the final destination. You have to get to investment. You have to make the climate possible. So what AmCham try to do is, besides advocating for that, try to be the common sense in everything we do. Rule of law, taxes, tariffs, and trust. When you think about it, a lot of trust has been lost between the diaspora, between foreign investors to this country, due to trust, due to the fact that Bosnia is corrupted, due to the fact that there is lack of transparency of transparent transactions. There is no digitalization on the highest level. Opening a business can last from 30 to 45 days. This is not acceptable. And everything we do in that sense. We do to protect the healthcare system, making a favorable healthcare system so the most talented people do not leave the country, as they say, brain drain. Digital transaction, digital laws, meaning when people enter this country as tourists, to make them spend more money digitally. We are one of the least available countries in Europe also concerning digital transactions. All this, when you put together, make Bosnia an unfavorable destination. But however, when you think about opportunities, the location, the regime of 10% on income tax, these are all very favorable. When you think that we are still a non-EU country in accession talks from 2022, we're still very highly potential for nearshoring, which is now in these trade wars and the things that are happening in the world, we can take that and seize that chance as a new opportunity for this country. So I still believe, besides all the negative, when you think about positive and negative, I still strongly believe the number one reason is lack of political leadership. Lack of political leadership. The public administration system is too high. There's too many people employed in the public sector, which is taking all that development goods and development funding that could be stimulated towards the private sector. And the private sector is the one that has to lead the way. So I strongly believe that these reforms need to happen concerning the public sector. We need new, fresh leadership in this country that can take the country much faster forward.
Thank you, Nedim. I think we need a Department of Government Efficiency in Bosnia as well, like we have it in the US. So could you just maybe mention in this context some of your initiatives or your current initiatives that you had with the American Chamber of Commerce in Bosnia?
Well, when you think about it, one of the latest ones, and we're having a roundtable actually tomorrow concerning CBAM. CBAM is not very, connected with the United States, but Bosnian companies that are dependent on European markets and then work with the EU countries are going to be really dependent on the tax regime that when you are exporting goods that are made in Bosnia and Herzegovina towards the European Union, and if you don't have a carbon footprint concerning the CBAM production, you will be taxed much higher. And we're going to address that issue actually tomorrow with around 40 people roundtable concerning foreign trade chambers, production companies that are in our membership, Big Four consulting companies that have worked on analysis, how we can work on these, and few people from both entities concerning ministries that need to change the laws concerning CBAM. So that's one of the initiatives we're really working hard, because when you think about the contributions, and I don't know how much you've been reading from the media, the government, the federation government has imposed new contributions, meaning that salaries from the lowest, and which we support, has to go to 1,000 km, and the contributions didn't change. So meaning that more private sector burdens are put on the employers here, meaning less productivity, meaning less jobs, and meaning more firing. And these are all a big obstacle. We're working very hard on these contributions for set of fiscal reforms need to be done by the Federation. Republic of Srpska did some of those, and they have lowered down the burden, but it's still not on that level how the employers want, because many of our employers, and about 70% of our members work in both entities, and they employ people from all over the country, and we see that in the best angle how functioning business can operate in both entities. And if you don't have harmonization of laws in both entities the same, it's very, very complex to do business in a steady and productive manner. So these are some of the 3-4 initiatives that I mentioned that are top on our list. Of course, intellectual property goes all the way day to day, protecting the intellectual rights of American goods in this country, from fake goods, from getting into the country from China, from other places. And this is something that the American Chamber, these 4 or 5 issues concerning digitalization, protection of intellectual property, contributions, a secure healthcare system, and trying to keep youth in this country are some of the high priorities that we work throughout our committees.
Okay, excellent. And I think you also have some programs like educational programs. Do you also work with the universities, with the US or Bosnian University, and do you have like executive, like formal education? Non-formal education?
Non-formal, yes. We created 3 years ago a program called Leader Roots, empowering the new leadership of the country. And like I said in the beginning, what we're trying to do is be a common sense what's needed in this country. Besides, if some members tell us or not, we obviously need new leadership. Companies obviously need new leadership. And we started a program called Leader Roots, where we gather every year most prosperous business leaders from 45 to 55 companies in the country. We gather them in one place, and they attend sessions every 25 to 30 days in a different location in the country, from different speakers, usually CEOs and consultants and university professors. Deliver those speeches because we want a mix of theory, a mix of professor work, university work. We want a mix of how leadership in businesses operate day to day. And we want, of course, case studies and visit to companies, fabrics, and so on. And the most important goal why we're doing that is connecting 50 different people from across the country, all over the place, from Brčko, Banja Luka, Bijeljina, Mostar, you name it, they're part of that program. And these people come together, they share ideas, they work on progressing some new business initiatives. And we give them cases, like we have cooperation with Harvard Business Review, we have with some local universities, and we give them cases to tap on and work together. And so we've been doing that for 3 years, and we have about 160, 170 approximately alumni in this program. And we're going to start developing the alumni program to work stronger in this, building up this community and try to seek change within.
Excellent.
I think this is valuable, and you know how that works exactly in the United States. Alumni build new companies. They work together. They,
Mhm.
you know, their reference to each other, and I think that's something we have to really work upon.
Okay, and that program is one of the benefits if, like, let's say I have a company or I'm an organization and I join the AmCham, the American Chamber. That's one of the benefits that you give to the members.
That's one of the benefits, definitely, and we cover it just for basic charges. It's like just entry fee. We don't like earn any money on it. Let's talk about it that when we're looking at the finances. But that's definitely one of the benefits that members have, that they can select their future leaders, usually from the age of 23 to 33. They can select their future leader, who they see very potential in making a new position in the company. They can like sign them up for that program. And like I said, like even this year we're having 65 people attend this program, and 90%, 95% are the ones that keep going until the end. So it's a 10-month program with many benefits, and we're not only thinking about it in a sense like, okay, we're providing benefit for a company, we're providing benefit for them meeting people that can change their lives and that they can work together. And we've seen the cases, and I have to tell that we're looking back 2 years, we've seen like 15% to 20% of the people moving higher in their ladder in their company, meaning they have direct benefit from attending that program. And company, of course, in the end benefits because they get a more educated person that has seen different sectors in the company. It's not like you're only attending from banking, you're from production, from insurance, you name it, you're part of that program. So you can see different variations of how businesses operate in this complex landscape, and you can draw parallels, and you can learn what's happening somewhere else and how they solve a certain problem. So I see that as one of the biggest benefits of being part of the chamber, actually.
Okay, excellent. So now let's shift a little bit to the new administration. How do the US economic policies and their impact on Bosnia and Herzegovina? So, I mean, these things don't happen in a vacuum. It's influenced by government policies, by trade agreements, by economic priorities. So with the new Trump administration in office, do you anticipate any shift in US trade or investment policy that could impact Bosnia and Herzegovina?
Well, good question. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the air with how trade policies are going to be shaped. Of course, there is no direct trade policy with Bosnia and Herzegovina itself. Bosnia and Herzegovina being a small country, it's always dependent on international markets of the EU. When you look at it from that angle, and tariffs and the things being mentioned in the last 20 days of raising tariffs with the European Union of 15 to 20 to even 25% on certain materials, steel, aluminium, and so on, this is going to have a high impact, because Bosnia is very dependent on the EU, either from producing some materials that go into those final products that are being exported to the United States, and vice versa. So if we think about direct influence of tariffs to the European Union, they're going to have an impact in the Bosnian market. When you think about automotive industry, which is one of the highest economic standards of this country being produced for the European Union, meaning in parts, we're already experiencing, some of our members have contacted us, and overall the country is experiencing 5 to 6% lower and loss of business. Also, we're having some members that have lost business opportunities in Germany due to direct changes in these regulations. So if official trade tariffs are enacted by the new administration in Washington, D.C. towards Brussels, Bosnia and Herzegovina is definitely going to have negative consequences concerning those. And not only Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Western Balkans as a total territory is going to have consequences, because we are very dependent on Germany, Austria, and for exceeding our products that make final products or directly from aluminium and steel. But Concerning other industries, trade, to be quite honest, trade between the United States and Bosnia and Herzegovina is in growth. Bosnia is exporting more and more products, meaning to the United States, with the tariffs that have not been enacted and changed, like defense industry. That's the biggest area of cooperation between the two countries is military, obviously, and the final products that make the like pistols, that make the bullets and
ammunition.
guns and so on, ammunition in general,
Ammunition, yeah.
is in the rise. So this is like the highest potential for the Bosnian economy at the moment, and all our companies working, all Bosnian companies from the territory working in these fields are experiencing a lot of growth towards the United States market, even vice versa, like gunpowder materials and so on being imported to Bosnia and Herzegovina is on a certain rise. Minerals, materials used in windows and stuff producing aluminium foils concerning windows and stuff is on the rise also. We've seen that in some data too. So, but when you think about the biggest possible transition, besides the one that I mentioned, dependency on the European Union, something that we can work together on is the double tax treaty, which Bosnia and Herzegovina and the United States don't have. And that's something Croatia implemented a few years ago. And I see a lot of potential for the working group and for AmCham to perhaps work together into setting up these kind of possibilities. Now, I know timing is never right. People will say timing is not good, but timing is always, like we as a transition economy have to always find our time. And we have to work much harder here. And like I said, I strongly believe that much harder in this country towards finding new markets, towards getting these double treaty assessment and so on. The GSP generally, which provided preferences for 35,000 products from Bosnia and Herzegovina towards the United States, is in freeze for the last 4.5 years. So it doesn't even have to do with the new administration. It was also part of the old administration when you think about it. So these are, it has been always retroactively reimbursed, but now it's in the stoppage for the longest period at the time, for 4.5 years. And there's these are the things that, but it will not only implement Bosnia and Herzegovina, it's part of 120 countries use this GSP preference system, where you're importing goods to the United States without certain tariffs. So the whole tariff and trade war is still in the air. You cannot judge, and you cannot make a final conclusion how it's going to work out. But with the things that are happening now, and with the influences, and even if the EU raises its tariffs towards the United States market, it's going to have more and more consequences for this country, with eventually those products getting back to this country. So I mean, it's definitely not a win-win situation. In the end, these consequences will affect prices going higher for the domestic people in the United States and in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the people are in the end, and businesses are going to have to pay that price. So I don't see a win-win situation, definitely, with the tariffs and new taxes being raised at this moment.
Okay, thank you for elaborating. Could you just touch on this double taxation that you mentioned?
Yes.
What is that exactly?
But there's a lot of things involved in double taxation treaties. It's pretty much in simple words, it's taxes and treaties being signed between the two countries that have to do with expenses being paid in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and expenses being paid and taxes being paid in the United States. So meaning that Bosnia now could pay on both sides these kind of taxes. And if we have that treaty regulated, it would have either producers or importers pay one price at a single time. So, but it doesn't happen just overnight. Croatia did that for the last 5 years, not recently, but when you look at it historically, those kind of arrangements lasted with 3 to 4 years, and it involves a lot of diplomacy, involves a lot of policy work. And I'm very willing to share with this group what potentially would be needed in more detail, not to take too much time, and then perhaps we can communicate with the leadership of the working group what potentially would be needed for these steps to be implemented potentially.
Okay, thank you. So you're recommending a bilateral tax treaty, so to say, between U.S. and Bosnia and Herzegovina,
Yeah, just to
based
eliminate
on what
double.
Croatia did.
Yes, exactly. Eliminate double taxations. Exactly.
All right, so now let's stay in the United States. We know that you have announced that you are bringing a delegation to the US. It's your annual program organized by the American Chamber of Commerce in Bosnia, and you take your members. And so this year is the upcoming Texas business delegation, which is coming this spring. And given that Texas status is a major economic hub in the US, this visit presents a very powerful opportunity to connect Bosnian and American businesses and bring Bosnian leaders to Texas. I know it's not the first time, you do it every year. So last year, I think you were in California.
Yes.
Yeah, and so every year it's an annual program. Could you just touch briefly on that? Because we do have members that are based in Texas and our diaspora in Texas, there's a lot of people living there. So could you tell us who's coming, which industry will be represented, and what is your goal? What do you want to achieve? And what kind of partnership are you looking to establish while in Texas? And for anyone who's interested in meeting with your delegation, what's the best way to engage?
When you think about everything I've said so far, how we're trying to be that bridge between the United States and Bosnia and Herzegovina, we've started the business delegation 2 years ago. We've had two very successful delegations so far. We've visited Boston and New York in our first year, visiting many digital businesses, digital transition businesses, because that when we analyze the problems in this country, we try to find the leading companies that have certain areas of implementation in that field to see how we can bring back to the country. That's why we took leadership over there. We visited leading, obviously, universities like MIT to try and find partnership deals for the startup scene in this country. So we started that with the goal of getting the transfer knowledge much faster, to getting to know the chambers of commerce around the country, and to let them hear what potential this country has to offer, and let them find within their membership opportunities for our businesses to cooperate with them. Everybody's looking for additional business opportunities, even in the United States, no matter how small a country is, no matter how small a business is. And that is exactly what I like about the United States Chambers of Commerce. In every local, they fight for the last business to find new opportunity for them. And that's the mentality that we're trying to involve, and that's the mentality we're trying to build up in these businesses over here. Not that they're lacking it, but they're definitely missing that American perspective in developing a business. So we started that business delegation with that process. The next year, or the year before, in 2024, we did San Francisco and San Jose, visiting technology giants, obviously, that are positioned there, and visiting the chamber over there to talk about the startup scene. And we're very close to a lead of starting a Bosnian Herzegovinian startup foundation business here that will be based on a cooperation that we are building up in San Jose at the moment. And of course, the delegation that we're bringing, like you mentioned, Texas this year, is just the next step, as Texas being a world hub for innovation and for economy at the moment, with a very attractive climate concerning investments. That is something we need to explore. And I personally want to thank you, Wildana, also for interacting with many of your members, perhaps, and helping us connect with the right businesses at that moment. And we are going to bring a delegation. We're actually finishing up the delegation agenda at the moment, and we're going to bring 23 to 25 CEOs of leading companies in Bosnia and Herzegovina, involved in production of food, involved in digital banking, digital finance companies, leading transition in digitalization, healthcare companies representing American products here, meaning machinery, meaning goods that are used in fabrics here and used in drug testing. We're going to bring companies that have their own digital products that can be implemented in telecoms, in electricity companies, in fiber optics, and those are some of the interests. Other interests are in energy transition, building a new clean energy system in Bosnia and Herzegovina and leading the way to clean energy. We want definitely to explore those. And when you mention it's going to be like we're going to arrive on the 17th, most probably of May, and depart on the 24th of May. Don't know everybody's detailed agenda, but the whole week of that week is going to be from Monday to Friday, full agenda. The first 3 days in Austin and the last 2 days in Houston. So what we are thinking how to engage and how to we haven't finalized it, and that's something that we can jointly even also think about. We're thinking of an event with diaspora on that Sunday in Austin, Sunday the 18th of May. We're working on that to see if that's feasible and if that's even possible, and to see an event on a Friday on the 23rd. I think the 23rd is a Friday in Houston, to try to see how we can navigate between those two events and if that's even possible to be done in that sense. And of course, we will want to bring a large community of people that want to meet the people and to, you know, I want to be that bridge of trust between the diaspora, meeting leading businesses in the country and seeing how they can cooperate and how they can work together. And we're not just doing this for the sake of meeting and getting the American sense of doing business in the country. I've analyzed how some countries have done investments in their countries. Last summer, we brought the former CEO of the Irish Chamber of Commerce, American Irish Chamber of Commerce in Dublin, and we had like 2 hours conversation and presentation about how and what Ireland did from imagine this, 1963 to 2023. When you think about it, that's 60 years. It sounds a lot, but Ireland, 1963, had a population of, and I'll tell you the exact data, 2.6 million. Ireland in 2023 had a population of 5.3 million. So people came back to Ireland. Ireland had employed people from in 1963, 1 million. And in 2023, 2.9 million. University students, 22,000 in 1963. University students in 2023, 257,000. I mean, this didn't happen overnight, obviously. When you think about Bosnia and Ireland, it's very, very similar cases. Very similar. Of course, Ireland has a much richer in resources concerning diaspora, but parallels have to be drawn. And there's many things that we can learn from those, and that's exactly why we brought those kind of people. And that is exactly why we are starting delegations, why we started it, to try to work on these kind of projects of building people and building trust together once again, and building and bringing people back to invest in a country called Bosnia and Herzegovina, obviously. And like I said, it's a pyramid. Investments will not happen just like that. We have to meet a lot of criteria for those to happen. Eliminate corruption, build back education, start innovation studios, start up the startup scene for the economy, and demolish the huge public sector that's drawing and killing this country within. So that is why we're doing the delegation. That is how we're trying to build up the delegation. And like I said, we haven't completed the 100% agenda, but we're thinking about those 2 dates, how we can, and we will of course share that information with you, Vildana, and with the team, with Patrick and everybody, and then you can distribute that towards your members, towards your group, and seek a certain date. And I hope I can meet many people there that want to engage with us and want to hear more about how we can cooperate together.
Great, excellent. Yeah, and thank you for bringing up the example of Ireland. I mean, they opened up their borders, so a lot of American companies, they set up their headquarters there, including, Meta, even companies that I work for, their headquarters are now in Ireland. And that really changed the whole landscape. And a lot of people from Bosnia, they actually moved to Ireland to work for American companies. Actually,
Yeah,
some people that work for me, some of my colleagues, and so I'm happy to
I
see
mean, we
that.
have to look at somebody. We're always thinking like, what's next? But these examples exist. I think we need new documents. We need
Yes.
strategy. We need a strategy how we interact in certain areas. And business is the way forward. Business connections are the
Yeah.
only way forward. Because if we wait for politics to solve that, I I don't see it happening.
I think everything boils down to the Dayton Agreement, and that it's just created such a because it divides everything, and it doesn't create a good, healthy business climate. So it's very complex and makes the challenges for not just businesses, for even like NGOs, and we need
You're
a
right.
unified economic space, and we need to
Exactly.
work on that and to foster. Um, So similar, like, what other countries are doing, but yeah. So everything seems to be boiling down to the Dayton Agreement.
You're right.
So I'm very excited. So you said May 17th through 24th in Austin, Texas, and Dallas
And Houston,
and Houston.
we have set up some of the business visits already with the universities, with some leading production companies, and we're still working with the Austin Chamber of Commerce. We're working with the Greater Houston Chamber of Commerce to visit some of the companies of interest, because we just finalized the list of delegates that will be traveling and analyzing their industries to try to connect with the most the ones that have particular interests. So more than willing to share that also information with you and your team and your group to see if there would be potential interest in B2B opportunities, through these businesses, that people want to interact. The diaspora, of course, wants to interact with them, with us, with myself, to see how we can make new stage for these kind of opportunities.
Okay,
Valdana,
thank you, Nedim.
I just
Yes.
wanted to interject one idea here so I didn't forget. One of our members, Amir Memich, is in Austin, Texas. He's the young man who led us through some strategic planning for our group. He is himself a business owner. He received his MBA from the University of Texas at Austin, and I'll send you his contact information. I think you know
We're
him.
already communicated with.
Perfect. Okay,
He's our
perfect.
one of our main contacts for Austin. He's such an amazing guy, and you're very happy to have him on your team. And
Okay, okay, excellent.
Vildana sent it already, and we engaged. And he's such a bright man. And thank you so much also for that contact. He's been helping us a lot, and he really wants to be part of this project that we're doing. And thank you, Patrick, for bringing it up. And I didn't mention the name, but Amit is we're doing great job with him, and he's helping a lot.
Yeah, perfect. I just wanted to be sure you knew that already. Very
Amazing.
good.
Thank you.
Happy to have that confirmation. Sorry, Vildana, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So yeah, I'm happy to hear that there are Bosnian people that you will meet there, and because our diaspora is we have, I don't know how many exactly people, Bosnian people live in the US. I think in St. Louis we have how many thousands approximately, Patrick?
Yeah, we estimate 60,000. Probably the diaspora in the US is somewhere around 200,000 to 250,000.
Yeah, 250,000. So it's a quarter of a million. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, diaspora and I would like to ask you, so today our diaspora, many are young professionals or serious entrepreneurs and investors, and the community is still deeply connected to Bosnia. And a lot of them, when they retire, they return to Bosnia, and their kids stay in America, and they often seek ways to give back, to invest, and to launch joint ventures. So how do you see Bosnia diaspora shaping business growth in Bosnia, and are there any structured initiatives by your organization to engage diaspora and diaspora investors and professionals beside this event that you just mentioned? And then for the members of the diaspora who want to invest in Bosnia, but may not know where to start, what is your advice?
Well, I mean, I can never give it advice in just a few sentences, of course, because, you know, many diaspora, many people, perhaps even in this group, have already either invested successfully, unsuccessfully, maybe in this country, and those are always, like, you know, subjective opinions, how people see their kind of investments. Is it just buying land? Is it, you know, buying an apartment? Is it buying, you know, certain property, or is it real other investment in businesses and so on? What we as a strategic organization wise is like, okay, delegation is one thing, it's a start, but it cannot stop there. We need, like I mentioned, I think we need to work on this build-up of the strategic documents that will outline how Bosnian diaspora could potentially enact, and how the American Chamber of Commerce can enact and work together in the next 20 to 30 years. This is something that needs a different build-up. I know there's many organizations, at least what I've heard of, and some of them I met throughout the United States, that gather different Bosnian Herzegovinian diaspora in different areas or different parts of the United States. They're all kind of spread up. There's no, like, I cannot say unified diaspora council, or perhaps there is, you might correct me. But what we see is, like, if you really analyze the Ireland case, and the Ireland case survived because the second and third generation of Irish people living in the United States were taken care of. We are in that stage now with Bosnian Herzegovinian diaspora, second and third generation primarily, and third generation usually losing touch of their roots in this country. So there's initiative that we're currently working on, and like I said, I think the working group for Bosnia should be part of this initiative. We are setting up a very small working group within the chamber, which I am leading, to set up 150 most successful Bosnian Herzegovinians living in the United States. It will involve 2 to 3 Bosnian Herzegovinians living per state. That's something we want to identify to start with, and then try to engage with your help, with the help of some other organizations, in identifying these people and having 1 or 2 meetings per year and defining a draft strategy that we will develop, and then can be built up from from the people that can be part of that. We had some ideas to get financing with these kind of projects within the country, but lobbying in that sense is very, very difficult. And we want to try, as the American Chamber, to work with the diaspora organizations to try to set up these kind of council, for example, and try to set up the working group of most 100 successful people living in the United States per state. If you analyze it, it could be like 2 per state, perhaps 1 per state, 3 per state, depending where they live and what their idea is. So that's something that we're working on currently. That's something we're very willing to share, to try to engage people on this idea. And I believe it's an organized manner that can define how investments can be in the different areas, because those people have expertise in energy, in production. We met some of them while traveling to the United States. They work for leading organizations. Your people, part of your organization, work for leading organizations in the United States. So there's vast knowledge there. And that could be one of those continuation of successful business delegations to the United States is something that we're still looking for. And third, but not the most least, is like engaging with each and every chamber of commerce of each state, of each city, at least as much as possible, to present the Bosnia and Herzegovina and present the potential of investment in certain areas, agriculture, technology, building it here in this country, starting businesses over here, trying to engage who works here. And those are some of the three pillars how we strategically want to approach diaspora, how we want to approach American businesses and the chambers over there.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, the advocacy and the lobbying, connecting and trying to build bridges and expand network and build trust at the end of the day. From what I know, in 2017, I think it's a little digression, but the leader of Republika Srpska, according to Voice of America, he spent $30 million on using a Texas legal company based in Texas for lobbying. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but it was published in Voice of America. So yeah, $30 million using an American company that's based in Texas to lobby Republika Srpska interest in the United States.
I didn't know it was a Texas-based company, but we've heard about those. Unfortunately, Bosnia and Herzegovina as a state doesn't have a strategy for lobbying, and that's something we need, and that's something that could be worked on from the business side, and that's an angle we should all think about.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah, thank you. So now, as we look to the future, this is one last question, and then we're gonna have 5 minutes for Q&A before we close our today's discussion. So economic reforms, foreign investment, strategic partnership, lobbying will determine our country's position in this global economy. So looking ahead, what do you see as the next critical step in strengthening U.S.-Bosnia economic ties, and what role can an organization like the Working Group for Bosnia-Herzegovina play in this effort?
Oh, good question for the end, Vildana, but definitely lobbying for public sector reform in this country. Like you mentioned at the beginning, a dodge for Bosnia and Herzegovina, efficiency, how many people work in the private sector comparing to the public sector? What are the contributions? The private sector is paying contributions so more people can get hired in the public sector. That's in a developing country, in an economy in transition, that's impossible to it's impossible to go forward with that kind of system. So lobbying in that sense, definitely. Fiscal reforms in the country itself, in federation, and in the Republic of Srpska, more. But the governments, talking about both governments in the country, don't want to in full prioritize fiscal reforms because that brings them less money in the budget, and they need more money in the budget in order for that for the elections to happen in that sense. So we need fiscal reforms to happen. We need new changes in the law of labor in this country. There's 3 to 4 of these policy initiatives that AmCham is already doing, but I believe that these are very critical in order for foreign investors, American investors, to come to this country. Because if the cost of hiring people is high, why would you come to this country and not go, I don't know, another Southeast European country, or Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia, you name it? You are not attractive. No matter how much you love this country, you still would prefer another one because the labor law and the cost of hiring is high in this country in relation to other countries around you. So, I mean, it all comes down to that. Then it comes down to knowledge, education in this country, new leadership in this country, more connections, that all of the pretty much the fields that we have either working very hard to achieve, or fields that we have just started working on.
Yeah, okay. So what can we do as a Working Group for Bosnia-Herzegovina organization that's registered in US, and should we also become member of AmCham?
I mean, becoming a member of AmCham is always very welcoming, but it's not the most critical point. We can always have a MOU on working on, or even have an agreement about how we can cooperate on certain things in the future. Of course, there's a lot of still uncertainty, like we mentioned in the beginning of the conversation concerning tariffs and so on. But I believe gathering diaspora in an organized manner and, providing a trustworthy voice, that when you're sending somebody to explore investments, it should be either through the American Chamber of Commerce or through the U.S. Embassy in Sarajevo, which have organized manners of talking to investors, potential investors, and meeting them with the right people. And, taking care of the process is done transparently, ethically. And these are some of the things that we can guarantee that the potential investor from the United States, from your group or from any other group, goes in the right direction without misleading information. So when you ask what we can do so much, but let's start with these steps, providing the right information, providing trust, that people don't turn around and say like, hey, somebody's asking money for an investment, somebody's trying to take my money in a corrupt or disorganized manner. These are some of the things that we need to eliminate. And trustworthy organizations, trustworthy potentially new staff at the embassy and the AmCham can provide that information. And we have done that earlier from some other, not only diaspora companies, but American companies interested in certain fields. And we had success in talking with the government as a mediator between those investments. So there is organized manners, and I think we should follow one of those. We can work stronger on these documents concerning strategic approach of organizing diaspora and organizing and getting people involved in meeting people at B2B through our business delegation. We can work on the laws concerning tax treaty. We can potentially work with GSP and many more as they arise. So I feel like, organizing, having a long-term relationship and working even together on the Irish case and representing it, and working on the Bosnian scenario, there's so many areas that we can potentially work and get people engaged from different fields. That's at least what I would pursue.
Thank you, Nedim. And now at this point, I'd like to open the floor to our audience. So we have covered a lot of ground, and we talked about these investment opportunities, trade policies, and the role of the Bosnian diaspora, and we talked about American Chamber's efforts. Now we want to hear from you. So we would like to take questions if you have, and just please use the Q&A function on Zoom, and we'll take as many as possible in the time that we have left. So
I wonder, Vildana, if I could start.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thanks. Nedim, you mentioned that 70% of your members work in both entities within Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I'm curious if you think the business relationships are improving the intercommunal relationships within Bosnia and Herzegovina, in effect, de-emphasizing the influence of nationalists in both society and politics. What is your sense of that, or your observations about that? Moving the political space in a positive direction.
Good question. I mean, when I talk to the owners of the companies of that work, or at least the representatives of the companies, they hire on merit. They hire on skill. Not on religion, not on ethno-nationalism views, and not on anything persistent with those. And that's something that makes me, look, when I talk to them, it makes me look at business at a totally different level in this country. Something not the media or anybody else is portraying. It shows a lot of unity. It shows a lot of traveling between the entities concerning business-wise. And I've never experienced in my mandate and my leadership of the chamber any negative situation between workers in any entity. And that is something that's a glorifying voice of unity and glorifying voice of how businesses cooperate and work and sign deals together within both entities. And that's on a small market of, let's say they're now analyzing that Bosnia is 2.7 million, 2.8 million. On a small market, what else can you do? How else are you going to build up an economy on a very, very small market? And you're acting as a production company, you're acting as a company that's representative office of some European country. European companies, they care about what's happening, obviously, and they're monitoring. But when you think about it, they operate in other complex markets too. You know, we think we are the most complicated, but there's a lot of complicated markets within the European Union, a lot of different zones in certain countries where they pay taxes even differently in certain areas. So navigating that scope and putting ethno-nationalism side and political influence is critical to be done through businesses. Of course, some businesses are having pressure, and I cannot name those, obviously, have had pressures before from political influence in certain territories, in certain areas, not only on a specific entity, but in both entities, both even territories of land where, you know, like you're having different municipal laws, not only like entity law, but you're having laws from like Canton Sarajevo is different from Canton Tuzla or certain areas like that. So I think businesses in Bosnia and Herzegovina that are surviving are champions. You know, like they're the real champions and the real fighters in this country, because they're navigating through all these complex issues and still, you know, hiring the best people, hiring the most influential people that can bring them more profit and, of course, bring them prosperity in their business field.
Thank you. And just a brief follow-up comment. I agree with you. And certainly the case of Ireland is a complex political and social environment with the divisions within that country, very strong nationalist sentiment that's still part of the society there. So it's good to have that positive example of what the diaspora can do. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Anyone? Questions, comments? Professor Pettigrew, the floor is yours. Professor okay, unmuted.
Sorry, I just had to unmute myself. Well, I just wanted to thank Nedim for a really interesting session, and thanks to Pildana for interesting questions. I was really intrigued by the this analysis of the connection with Ireland, or Ireland as a positive model, and of course Ireland's in the EU, correct? That's interesting. And I guess my question was something like, I think it's you were speaking of inclusiveness in terms of ethnicities, and I wondered about business opportunities in Bosnia for women, in terms of encouraging opportunities for in gender, not. I don't know. I'm asking this out of a sense of not being aware of what opportunities exist in Bosnia, whether women are well represented in business and so forth. But I think in spite of the new administration in the United States, that gender equality is important, and so I'm just curious about that.
That's a very good question, Professor. I mean, what I will talk from general example and from what AmCham has done. We have during 2004 we organized three different sessions on women on boards, sitting on boards. We've organized women on executive leadership positions, and we have cooperated with the U.S. Commerce Department through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce on initiatives like Empower Her, meaning that we've distributed some of the documents towards the companies to see how some American businesses cooperated and worked on bringing more women in leadership roles, in their companies. Of course, this has to be a continuity of projects, and AmCham definitely is going to continue even in 2005 with I think 2 seminars or 2 workshops concerning those topics. Besides AmCham, I think the country and the entities can do much better job concerning advocating for more women in leadership roles and more women taking even political roles in the country.
Oh, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Professor, does it answer your question?
Yeah, I think the question is an emphasis, I guess, on raising awareness about the need for diversity and inclusiveness.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we have a question by Leila, and then we have Azem.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nedim, for being here with us today. I'm from Connecticut, and my concern usually when we have talks with inspiring speakers is, what am I going to do tomorrow, and how can what I just heard from my speaker help me and guide my actions in the near future? So I was listening you speaking about strengthening the relationship between the states in the United States and Bosnia. And I was just wondering, let's say I wanted to strengthen the relationship between Connecticut Chamber of Commerce and Bosnia. What would be your practical advice as to how should I start about this? What are some perhaps pragmatic advice that you could give me on where to start and how to strategize about this? We do have businesses in Connecticut. What businesses would be perhaps most favorable to start from? What kind of help would you perhaps be able to provide to us locally who would be willing to work on these initiatives? Just walk me through perhaps some advice that you might have on this topic.
Excellent question. I always love when it's like business related in a sense that we're bringing chambers together. We have some relative experience in that because throughout the last 3 years we've cooperated with 7 or 8 different chambers across the United States: the New York Chamber of Commerce, Greater Houston Chamber, San Jose Chamber of Commerce, San Francisco Chamber of Commerce, obviously Austin Chamber of Commerce. So we have relative experience. And what the good thing is that when you're coming as an American Chamber of Commerce, they all know about you. So in every country in Europe, pretty much I can say around the world, there's one American Chamber of Commerce in that country. So the American Chamber of Commerce in this country is our chamber. So when you even start talking about them, there is a chamber, they already know about that, which is always a good start. So that's how we usually start conversations with foreign chambers of trade across the United States. Me being part of the European Chamber of Commerce in Brussels, because I sit on the board of directors of the European Chamber of Commerce, it doesn't matter if you're EU or non-EU country, we have access through that network to all the chambers because they organize a trip every year to the different city in the United States. And this year we're going to be in Atlanta with the European Chamber of Commerce for 3 days and visit businesses there and interact with the Atlanta, I assuming Chamber of Commerce or Georgia Chamber of Commerce. I'm not 100% sure who's going to be our focal point of contact. So besides these 2 ways that I'm interacting with the European Chamber of Commerce towards the United States, as AmCham Bosnia and Herzegovina interacting, that's always a good way for connection. You being in the middle as a business living or a businesswoman living in Connecticut and having interaction or being a member of the Connecticut Chamber of Commerce, you can act as a solo bridge between our chambers. Try to bring us together to the table. We have to explore what Connecticut can do and what they can hear from us. What point of interests do exist? What kind of businesses do need to interact? Because in every state, there's a bunch of everything, which is good. But yet again, there's something that's unique for that state that can prioritize some investment opportunity in this country. So I would say getting the 2 sides on the same table pretty much in everything you do in life is putting 2 people or 3, 4, whatever at the same table and then opening conversations like that. So that's one point. Exploring what chambers, Connecticut Chamber, has to offer in a sense. What are their niches of investment abroad and how close they are in investment to the Balkan area. If there is strong ties in these 2-3 areas, then there's definitely a strong tie for Bosnia and Herzegovina. I would take it like that, and I'm very available for these kind of conversations. Anytime you think is appropriate, I can jump to a call and be very present according to that. Or even next time I'm in the United States in that area, I can, like spare a day for a day visit, or like even try to organize a meeting in that sense, and even try to engage with our diaspora in that area.
Yeah, you definitely need to come to St. Louis.
Yeah, I think we're going to be working on that for 2026. I think that's one of the, logically, we should have done it earlier, but when the time is right, and I think the time is very right, and it's coming to an agreement that we're going to do St. Louis 2026.
How about Connecticut? It'd be a great place to visit as well.
There's so much we can do, but we have to take into time, and all local activities here in Bosnia and Herzegovina. But definitely, I'm like at least 15 to 20 days at least in the United States per year, and they're all packed. I come at least 2 to 3 times in like scope of 5 days each. So taking into consideration the delegation obligations in Texas this year, very willing to explore additional opportunities, but let's just try to work on a calendar, try to prioritize and, budget some things. And then I think impossible is nothing.
And what are your dates for Atlanta for the European Business Chamber?
I'm going to be in Atlanta 11th or 12th of May, just before we enter, Texas. So we're going to be I'm going to be in Atlanta on the 12th and 13th or 14th of May, and then 15th and 15th in DC, 14th and 15th in DC, and then on the 16th I will be in Austin.
Wow, what a busy schedule. I know there's also a relatively large Bosnian community in Atlanta.
That's what I heard.
If you need context, but you're going to be there such a short time, but if you need to connect with some people, I'll gladly connect you.
I would love to have coffee with somebody and, have just like a scope, like what people do there, what are the opportunities, and even, talk to them about what we're talking about today.
Okay, great. Yeah, just remind me later on. And Leila, did that answer your question? You have any comments, follow up?
Yes, Vildana, thank you very much, Nedim. So as I hear from you, I just want to confirm that I understand. As I hear from you, you're saying that you would be willing to make yourself available for follow-up conversation on perhaps how we can work more on strengthening relationship between Connecticut Chamber of Commerce and Bosnia, perhaps in the future. If I brought a group of people together, a group of businessmen from Connecticut, would you be willing, for instance, to meet us for a group call? It could even be online to advise us on how to work about this.
100%. You can count on me for that.
That's all I needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Azem, now the floor is yours. Unmute yourself.
Thank you, Vildana, for good job with introduction and running this conference. Thank you, Nedim, for wealth of information. We did meet in DC. I've been going to Bosnia 2 to 5 times every year, and I have some business relationship bringing things from Bosnia. So I just want to comment and agree what you said. I traveled through entire Bosnia, from Trebinje to Bihać to Bijeljina, and every time you speak with anybody who is running any legitimate private business, there's no issue with politics. They are open immediately. I took it's not a cruise in my city, Visegrad. There's a guy who used to be a captain in the Yugoslav army. And then now he has a private business running the tours from Visegrad down to Slap, which is, most people know Repa, but actually it's Slap. And I took my family and friends. There were 30 of us, and the way he prepared everything, even the music, he changed the music. It was Sevda. So immediately, I think the best way to help Bosnia and to integrate Bosnia is through business. And I think we need to use that more. I also opened a company in Bosnia in 2005. Unfortunately, I'm still not able to close it. So my experience with a private enterprise, no matter which canton or which, it's very good. Like it's really, you sit, if you know who is the business owner, and then once they sense you're serious and it's not like a bullshit, they are immediately willing. As soon as you start dealing with the bureaucracy, opening the company. So I think inside existing bureaucracy and framework, we can improve the trade, because we are stubborn people. Even things don't go right, we just find a way to do it. But to increase this to a higher level and bring some American, like I'm doing despite it's difficult, I want to do it, but somebody who is a purely business without changing some bureaucracy, and also not only opening the company. If the company is not doing well, you want to get rid of it. So this is something to pass to our, like here, I've been entrepreneur since I came to this country. Had a different company, had a partnership corporation. If I want to sell it, open it, close it, everything goes so easily. And then you register corporation, and if you don't do your annual filing, they will just close corporation. You register unlimited in the city. Also, if you don't renew registration, they just closed you. So you don't need to worry about being closed. If you owe money to somebody, they are going to sue you and look for you. But the local government, the state, they really help you to take initiative and open the business. So do you sense any like things, like there's a lot of talking that things need to be changed, but do you sense that things are changing in Bosnia in terms of the bureaucracy and the business law?
I'm very skeptical about it. I haven't seen a change. There's things the government or cantons are doing, like, hey, we're providing incentives for business. Even I used one incentive to hire a person here in the chamber. We hired a person through a canton fund, which will pay their contributions for 12 months, which is a very good initiative. But when you analyze how many companies use that initiative, it's very weak. It's very low. There's things happening. Canton Sarajevo may be strongest canton, obviously, due to the money that's happening here, population-wise, development-wise. But overall, the bureaucracy is just getting worse. That's my opinion, even subjective and professional opinion. And there's I would set it up totally differently. Like what you are mentioning now, isn't it common sense? You want to get rid of your business. I want to close it in 3 days. I want to open a business. I want to open it in 10 days, not 35 to 45 days. These are logical things.
I just was thinking how like here is easier, but it doesn't need to be in 3 days. You can say, okay, this company wants to close, and you don't, and there's a, how they call the službeni list, something. So you can say this company is asking to be closed. And anybody that this company owns any money, please report by this date. And it's very simple. If you report by this date, then we will take this into consideration, and that you can close the company in 3 to 6 months and then go, because if you are closing company, you already took a big loss. So the last thing you want to go have that on your shoulder. You want to unload and move on. Yeah. So your answer actually was something what I expected, and that's something that we have to.
I have to be honest.
To see the change.
I know. That's something we have to do. I mean, but it's always, you're never, these things that we're talking about, you're never a priority. because priority is always coalition. Priority is always like, how do we get more people in the public sector? And you know, we're chasing either, what are we, chicken or egg? What comes first, you know? And we're always in that loop here, you know, like your business is never number one, but business should be number one. Administrations around the world are showing that, and Bosnia has to fill in that role. Either we're not going to be organized like that. We're always going to be, you know, chasing something else. We have to start innovatively. Okay, we have to follow these laws. We have to integrate. We have to get certain laws that function in the European Union. But we cannot always try to copy what somebody else is doing. We have to start our own. We have to have our own strategy. Fine, I agree. We're using Ireland's case. We're using this case. We have to do that. But you cannot copy 100% everything that somebody else did. We have to put our own. And we're very bright people. You know that best. I mean, you know how our people are positioned in the United States or anywhere else in Europe. They're always in the best positions. They're always merit-based, like high positions. Here, it's not like that. And we have to try to bring that. When we bring that, and what Vildana said, we're going back into, is the Dayton Peace Agreement quality document or is it not a quality document? What did it bring? What, I mean, why so many young people leaving this country? I mean, it's not only because like people, you know what's hurting me most? People with very good jobs, both wife and husband or with kids, leaving the country. Yes. That's a problem. So it's not about the money, it's about perspective. And perspective has to change when new people come into the country. New meaning old new. People that have left, got knowledge, seen how it goes, and are willing to sacrifice. But who wants to sacrifice something that cannot be changed just like that? And when you analyze 65 years of development of Ireland, we're 30 years now. So we have another 30 years to get that change. But I don't see that progress happening just like that. The percentage doesn't say that. So, I mean, there's still a lot of work on the table, Azim.
Thank you. We will fight for change.
Does that answer? Yeah, we have to fight.
He answered. I really did not, because I decided I'm not going to like. I went to Babson College, which is well-known school for entrepreneurship, and in 2000, while I was between my third and fourth year, I had investors ready to invest in Bosnia, and I spent months there. And because I thought after the war things changed, you know, because there's no socialism, and found out. And despite with that, I said, okay, I want to do it. But at some point, you have to be rational. You want to get involved, helping Bosnia, and I'm doing this through non-profit. I buy goods from Bosnia, import them here, and decided I'm not going to bring investor or invest by myself. I'm investing personally, say buying land or things like that. But we have a huge potential. We have generation of Bosnians who are now between 50 and 60. Their kids are out of college. They're earning good money. They have a saving, and they are willing still to get involved and help Bosnia. So if we can make that change, like many people can put on the side $50,000, $100,000 and have some investment fund to invest, but you need on the other side, you need the partner. And when you say the canton is changing, when you register company, you either register in the federation or on the state level. I don't know that there's a like, so despite what canton is doing, you're still dealing with the on the federal level or entity level.
Oh, that's correct. But I'm just saying you're using some of the possibilities that perhaps a canton puts out there for businesses. But
but still that doesn't ease the complexity of running the business.
No, it can never be simple. It's always complex. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, we have to, guys, come to a close because we're already past our time. But yes, unfortunately, it seems that Bosnia, in economic sense, is still under siege. Not by war, but just by different means. This massive public, the the government institutions and the fact that Dayton Agreement did end the war, but it brought a different kind of control. And it feels like, I don't know, at least to me, that Bosnia is deliberately paralyzed. And it will be...
I don't think Dayton has to do anything with this, because Dayton is not ideal situation, but we can, inside Dayton, we can do many things to improve situation. So I think our focus would be what we can change without sitting with other side that doesn't want Bosnia. I think there's a lot of room that we can improve situation in business, in other sector of the life and economy.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to just close this meeting and thanks everyone for attending. And just a recap that this discussion has provided really invaluable insight. Thank you, Nedim, for sharing your experience and giving us much deeper understanding of this landscape that you work and navigate. And to everyone who joined us, your engagement is what really drives these conversations forward. So we look forward to continuing these dialogues and fostering even stronger US-Bosnia ties, not just economic, but in other spheres as well. And so for those who are interested in connecting with Nedim and or engaging with the American Business Chamber, the email address is amcham.ba. And, you know, if anyone who's going to be watching later this on YouTube, if you want to get in touch with our organization, which is the Working Group for Bosnia and Herzegovina 501c4 organization, our email is WGBiH.org. And you can subscribe to our newsletter and find more information how to get involved. So we look forward to building on this dialogue and strengthening our transatlantic relations. Thanks to everyone for being here. And the discussion has been recorded and it will be available soon on YouTube. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.